Hello, I'm Noel here. You've probably heard the expression, we don't inherit the earth from our ancestors so much as borrow it from our descendants. And you've probably heard it in the context of the environment and climate change. But it applies also to the way in which we get on together. As the Middle East and parts of Africa show, multi-generational hatred becomes ingrained, institutionalized, and is handed on to following generations. As many people have pointed out, the human race has no sustainable future without peace, and the teaching of peace starts early. Tonight I'm pleased to be in conversation with a member of the Peace Foundation. Christina Barruel is a national trainer of primary and secondary cool school programs. Welcome to Face Television, Christina.
Oh, well, it's good to be here, Noel.
Good. Now the Peace Foundation, let's do a little wee bit about that. It talks about promoting peaceful relationships among people of all ages and cultures, from the personal to the global. So it's got an enormous reach, isn't it?
It has, yes, absolutely. And probably the core business of the Peace Foundation is our education programs.
Yeah.
And they, as you mentioned, is the Cool Schools program. Our Cool Schools program effectively is in primary schools, and we also have a program in secondary schools, and we call that our Peaceful Conflict Resolution and Peer Mediation program for secondary schools. And they really are making a difference.
Well, it makes sense to get them early, really, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It certainly does. And we have some very young little peer mediators out there, as young as 5 years old.
Yeah, one of my grandchildren were going to the kindergarten play centres. I noticed some little homicidal little characters there that could have done with some of this. So, you know, some mediation or some getting on with each other techniques.
Absolutely. Well, our programs really are valuable for that. They teach students wonderful life skills on how to really look at conflict as a way of building a relationship. You know, conflict can be a way of destroying a relationship, as we, you know. Know as well, but when you really know that there are other options, and there are some constructive options, then building on relationships when you have a problem with a person can be a very satisfying. You know,
I read one of your promotional pieces that the love is the only way in which an enemy can be converted into a friend.
Yes.
And I've found in many situations there have been people where I've not got on with at all, and something has come up between us, so I bit the bullet, moved in, shook hands, and boom, the problem went away, just like that. It's amazing how people seem to be waiting for that moment when you step up and shake their hand.
Yes, and also I think it's around being, especially when somebody has a little bit of a problem, that's being in a position that you can actually listen with understanding and having the skills to be able to do that and show empathy. And very often somebody like a peer mediator who does that, who actually, you know, will listen to somebody's story and reflect back information around that story, shows that they're understanding, and often that is enough for someone to just start to clarify what really is going on for them, and they can start to problem solve themselves just with the mediator or the person who's actually showing empathy with their help.
And you're affirming them rather than confronting them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, the Auckland Peace Foundation has been around since 1975, but I guess you've not been there with them that long. But
no, I've been there, this is my 8th year.
Oh, okay.
In the role of national manager and trainer, so yes, I've been there a while, and still love it. Love my work.
And it seems to be from your promotional literature that you've got a three-pronged approach. You've got a families or parents program, there's a Maori whānau program, and there are the schools program, and that's the one that you are most concerned with. Yes. Because you're the national coordinator of the schools training.
So I essentially work in schools with students and with teachers. I'm a teacher myself in primary school trained, so it's a real privilege to go into schools and to work in the area of peaceful conflict resolution.
So how did Cool Schools start? What was the starting?
Very interesting that you asked that question. Yes, look at the founder, Yvonne Duncan. She was in the mid-80s. She was in a classroom, a very difficult classroom, and it was popped at the back of the school. She was struggling with skills and reverting back to all sorts of quite destructive behaviour in the classroom just to manage these kids that she had. And she came across, she was actually crying for help, and a friend gave her a book called Wow, it's learning peaceful relationships. That's the one. It's the Peace Foundation. It's been one of the most published and republished books that we have. Learning Peaceful Relationships was put into Yvonne's hand, and she went, wow, here's some skills I can teach the kids. So she started to teach these social skills, and one of the skills in this book is mediation. So she taught the students mediation, and anyway, what happened was they were having a whole lot of problems in the playground with marbles.
Right.
And so what her students said is, Mrs. Duncan, why don't we do mediation out in the playground? We could set up some little chairs and we could be marble mediators.
Right.
And Yvonne in her wisdom went, what a good idea.
Good idea,
Way you go. And she empowered these students to actually set up marble mediators, and all the little problems in the playground went to
And so that became an official program of the Auckland Peace Foundation?
Well, what happened is Yvonne saw it went very well, and as a result marbles weren't banned in the school like they often are when kids are sort of squabbling and carrying on. They weren't banned. Yvonne saw an idea of possibly taking it beyond the school and making it into a national program, so she approached the Peace Foundation. And with the help of Alan Ware, they co-founded the program Cool Schools.
And when did you come into the schools?
And that would have been the mid-80s that started rolling out, and then there were teacher programs provided in the early 90s. And so I came on board in end of 2005. And the reason why I think, I was the one that was successful in my application to actually step into Yvonne's big shoes.
Were you the first one to go out to the schools to take these programs to the schools?
Yvonne did that. She carried on the work until 2005, and then she wanted just to move aside, and I had worked the program in a school for a very long time.
Because most of the work is done in that way. You go to the school.
Yes, I go to the schools like as a trainer. For the primary program, I go and I train the teachers. And the teachers then have the confidence and the skills to be able to teach in the classroom. So it means that all students are benefiting, and then further down the track, the school selects senior students who are looking for a leadership role to become the peacekeepers, to become the peer mediators, to become the ambassadors of social justice.
What brought this to your attention? What, was there a moment where you said, I like that, I'll do it?
Well, to be honest, Noel, I was at a very small school, and I had a young family myself doing a little bit of part-time teaching, little school in the country. Principal said to me, what are we going to do with these kids that are really, that are really behaviour problems? And she sent me along to one of Yvonne's teacher training workshops, and I went along, and at the end of the day I thought, this is fantastic, this is life skills.
So you picked up the missionary zeal from there, and they're now carrying it on.
I just thought, this is me, I want to teach life skills, I want to give students the opportunity to really be able to have skills to develop relationships. And I became passionate at that moment, and one of the other offshoot of it is that I took the skills home myself. And what I found that when you've got young children, you're often struggling with quite destructive ways of even speaking to your partner, and I just discovered these skills, and I started using them at home with my own children, with my own husband, and it made a huge difference.
Throughout your literature, you use a couple of terms. I think you use them in a slightly technical way. The word conflict. You have something in mind when you say conflict.
Yes. Well, what we tend to do in schools now, and this is part of all the new development of Cool Schools that's happened over the last 3 years, one of the first lessons we ask teachers to do is to explore conflict. What does conflict mean? Because according to our own experiences, according to our own backgrounds, it can mean a lot of different things for a lot of people. And I know personally, there's areas of pain around conflict, from previous experiences that I've had. So we explore that word with teachers, with parents, with students when we're working in this program. And what's interesting is a lot of the words often around conflict that come through, Noel, are negative. They're really negative, and they really fit into that destructive ways of dealing with conflict faster.
So when you have resolved conflict, what has gone away? What has been...
I think, conflict, often it's feelings when there's conflict, and I'm just sort of speaking from my own experience here and observation. When you're in conflict, there's those feelings of anger and frustration that really surge up, and when when you're dealing with it in a constructive way, you know, somebody is listening to you, somebody is understanding, you know, how you're feeling, and somebody is prepared to hear you out, and somebody is prepared to look at options of solutions that you can do to actually to solve it.
So is that where the word mediation comes in, where somebody steps in between? That's what in between the antagonists.
Yes, well, a mediator is a neutral person, the third party. So if you've got two people that have an issue, the mediator is a third party that comes in who's non-judgmental, who's a very good listener, and who works a process that allows the parties to express what happened. So one party at a time expresses what happened and how they're feeling, and the mediator reflects that information back, retells that information back again.
Yes.
The mediator hears both sides out, so both have the opportunity, and there's rules in place, so they can't interrupt. They've got to be honest. They've got to no name callings or put down. So there's those rules set in place, and they've got to want to solve the problem together. So when you've got those rules in place right at the beginning, then the mediator operates or works through a process to hear the parties out, to reflect back how they're feeling, what's going on.
It's important that the mediator is neutral. The mediator is seen by everyone not to be taking sides.
Absolutely, and that the mediator is not coming up with solutions. That they then pose questions, open questions, to get the parties to actually think of solutions for themselves. So they're saying, and here's an example, good question. So to stop this happening again next time, what could you do differently?
So rather than you imposing it on them.
And they're thinking, well, I've got this situation, what could we do next time so that it doesn't happen again? So
and you have a very high success rate of this kind of thing, do you?
We do.
Oh,
We do. We do. And, it's been going on for a long time in schools.
What about the bullying that goes on in schools? There must obviously be some sort of tie in here.
Very much so, very much so. And having mediators out there working in the playground during interval and lunchtime, Noel, and these are people who students trust. They're people, or they're students who students know about. They've learned in their own classrooms through the classroom teachers what the role of a mediator is, what the mediation process is. They've done all the...
So these are often their peers. They're not...
they work with their peers. They don't work with the and this is the beauty of the peer mediation service. Is
peace prefects sort of thing.
Absolutely. And what happens is that teachers don't have to deal with all the small stuff conflicts, so they're let off the hook. And they can refer the small stuff conflict, all the little niggly things,
so these mediators can see a bullying situation arising and step in and diffuse it.
Depending on what level it is, and your definition of bullying, Noel, is various schools have their policies, their non-violent policies in place, and they will have various definitions. But the definition that we tend to use is it's ongoing, ongoing repeated behaviour that causes someone else to feel unsafe or feel that it's something it's affecting them in some way. And when that's happening, when it's ongoing and when it's repeated behaviour, that's not really for primary school mediators to deal with. That's really a teacher issue. So mediators, if they see that happening, they're advised to just quietly pass that on to a teacher, because it's not their stuff to deal with that. But if it's a one-off, and it might be a student that's having a problem over an ownership of a ball, or if it's a sharing problem, or just the little small stuff, things that happen every day at school, peer mediators can deal with that.
One of the pieces of advice given, I noticed, was using I statements. It's capital I statements.
Yes.
What is the significance of that?
I statements are great when you have an issue with someone. Like if I have an issue with you, Noel, and it might be something like you took my pen without asking, and I'm really, I'm really distressed about that because I haven't got a pen to use. So I give you an I statement. Look, Noel, I'm feeling, a little bit frustrated because you've taken my pen.
What might you have done that would have been wrong or would have been less effective?
Sorry, what was that?
What might you have said that would have been less effective?
Give me my pen back.
Oh, okay, right.
Give me my pen back, Noel. Well, I might have used a you statement.
Okay.
You thief.
You thief, okay.
You loser.
Okay.
Give me my pen back. But instead I sort of express how I'm
Yeah.
feeling. When you take my pen,
Right.
you know, I feel frustrated because I
Yes.
haven't got a pen to use. So that's
And
a nice statement.
and you call on them to be perhaps sympathetic to your situation.
Yes, well, you're asking them. It's not
Yeah.
not blaming or accusing the other person with a you statement.
Yeah.
It's saying you own it because
Yeah.
it's a nice statement. You give it, and what happens? It opens the door for a communication. Like if I said to you, if you took my pen,
Yeah.
you know, look, you've taken. I'm feeling frustrated, you know, when you take
Yeah.
my pen because I can't use it. What is
Okay.
your response to that? How could you respond to that?
Well, you hope that I'd say, oh, gee, I'm sorry I've upset you.
Yeah.
The other is I collect pens or something.
And it might be, look, that's okay. And I
Yeah.
might say, well, that's okay, but do you mind if I use it now? And
Yeah.
oh, look, I've got another pen I can
Oh,
give you.
yeah.
So what it does, because you don't
But it
feel
stops
accused,
ratcheting it all up to World War III, doesn't
yeah,
it?
you don't feel blamed, you don't feel
Yeah,
accused, you
yeah.
don't feel labelled, so called you a thief.
Yeah.
So it opens the door for
Yeah.
more constructive conversation around
Yeah.
how to solve the problem.
Yeah, talking of solving problems, money is always a problem. How does this thing all get funded, this Cool Schools thing?
Well, we're very fortunate that we've been funded in the past by the Ministry of Education. In 2009, though, they did cut their funds when they were sort of cutting back, but the Ministry of Health, in their wisdom, have
yes.
kept the funds going.
Good.
Since 1995,
Yes.
they've funded the Cool Schools program. So we have 30 schools
Yep.
around New Zealand every year that get a full training.
Yes.
And we have 40 revisits that are provided by the Ministry
Yeah.
of Health, and this
Are
is
there any
really valuable.
Are there any particular schools you go for, or are they just those that have approached you?
Yes, well, we've got 6 trainers
Yes.
around New Zealand, so
Yes.
what we tend to do is schedule trainings, 2 trainers all around New Zealand, so that it's fair.
Okay.
So that we have schools that can access that training all around New Zealand, and they do. They do. So, and once those funded trainings
Yeah.
have gone, Noel, then schools have to pay,
Yes.
and it's a lot more substantial. Although it's still, I think, a very reasonable amount.
Yes, because to have, you've got to have peace in the classroom before you can have teaching going on. Surely you can't
Yes,
have
yeah.
wars going on all the time.
Absolutely, and look, we've been very fortunate this year that Rotary clubs have come on board and have funded schools in their particular region,
Yes.
and this is happening more and more. And that we've had different, trusts have come on board, and they've the HB Williams Trust is one in the Gisborne area, and they've come on board and they've funded, X amount of schools to have training. So we do have pockets of funding coming
that way,
in
yeah.
from various places. So we've managed to keep going even
Yeah.
in the recession, where other organisations have really struggled. We've managed to keep going because we're doing something
Yeah.
very valuable for
Yeah.
schools.
You've got a lot of information up on the internet, which I made my way through, and I saw a reference to a book called Little Volcanoes.
Yes.
What's that about?
Well, that's a book written by Warwick Pudney,
Yeah.
and it's all about how you handle your anger effectively.
Yeah.
So, I won't get into a lot of details, but there's little volcanoes for preschoolers.
Yes.
We have a volcano in your tummy,
Okay.
which is written
Oh,
for
I know
primary
that.
school age
I
children.
know that feeling. Yeah.
And we have adult volcanoes
Yeah.
that are written for adolescents
Yes.
as well. So it's essentially, in a nutshell, it's understanding what's going on when you're
Yeah.
feeling angry, and lots of ways that you can deal with managing that anger. So Warwick Pudney has written these books
Yes.
years ago.
Yeah, and the managing the anger is essentially what you're talking about, things like using I statements and looking
Yes.
for mediators if you can find.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
mediators work in a family situation, or is it always dad or mum has the last word?
Well, the interesting thing is we have had numerous stories come back to the Peace Foundation of even our little 5-year-old mediators going into home and saying, "Excuse me, Mum or Dad, do you want a mediation here?" So they actually taking their skills
Yes.
home, and we've, like I say, the stories that come back to us saying that
Yeah.
these students
Yeah.
hearing Mum and Dad, that are obviously having
Yes.
a bit of an argument, and they are offering to be able to
Yeah.
use these skills to be
Yes.
able to
Because it's important, isn't it, that mediators are not people in positions of power, and they're not using their authority, they're using a skill, an intersocial skill.
It's a process. The mediation is a process, Noel, and and the mediator is a facilitator of that process. So that's the beauty of it. And it's not a difficult process. It's just a series of questions. Well, initially, you're giving the rules, and then you're asking a series of questions which helps the parties to unfold their own solutions and come up with an agreement or agreements.
So that's the other important thing, is the solution is not imposed.
It's not imposed.
Now, in August, you've got the 2013 National Schools Peace Week. Are you involved in that?
I certainly am, and Johnny Black, our Maori program coordinator, has been very much involved with that, with our volunteers and interns that we have in the organisation. And this is a wonderful way of getting, it's called the National Schools Peace Week, and we have it every year around about.
I think you've got a Nationals one and you've got an Auckland one also, haven't you?
We've got an Auckland Secondary School Symposium, but the Peace Week is national. And this week our theme is Action for Peace, making a difference in our community. So it's an opportunity for, especially for peer mediators in a school, whether it be secondary or primary school, to really get proactive around doing peace work and action for peace and what that means for them. And that can be just looking at changes they want to make in their school community, or it might be in their broader community, and how can they action that change to make their communities better places, more peaceful places. So that's our theme this year, and we're really excited about what's happening. We've sent out online. We've got sent out an online register for Peace Week to schools all around New Zealand. So that went live last week.
We sometimes hear the whole character of a school is somehow set by the style of the principal. I know that may be a bit of a simplification, but do you find some principals who are much more open to this process than other principals?
Yes.
Some of them may be resistant slightly?
Yes.
Because it cuts in under their authority to some extent.
In what way?
Well, I was just wondering whether if the principal sees himself as an enforcer of law, then mediation is another way around that he's not going to be a part of.
Well, I've been absolutely impressed with the amount of principals when they see a little peer mediator in action. They totally buy into what we're doing. It's probably not the best word to use, but they totally get it, what we're doing. That this is about empowering students to work with other peers in a non-threatening way to come up with solutions to their little issues.
Moving back a little from the I'm sorry, I'll cut you off there.
That's fine. And can I just say, in secondary, it's very powerful as well, because various schools call their secondary or the leaders that go out and work amongst other students in the secondary school. They call them ambassadors of social justice, peacekeepers, bully busters, there's all sorts of names. But they also do fantastic work in just filtering in amongst students out there and helping them with issues, and so they don't erupt into bigger issues which staff have to deal with. So secondary school principals are really onto this as well, that it helps.
There's another program which runs in parallel to yours, which you're not a part of. It's the Maori whānau program. But you did refer me to Johnny Black, who runs that, and you say that Johnny has an interesting backstory, as it were.
Yes, well, Johnny has a very interesting story. He was a peer mediator. Well, first of all, he had some real challenges at primary school, especially around the bullying area. And when he reached secondary school, he was shoulder tapped by the coordinator of our peer mediation program at Mount Roskill Grammar, Donna Harrigan-Johnson, and she saw an opportunity to invite Johnny into the peer mediator team and for him to learn some skills. And then, to cut a long story short, Johnny became their most outstanding peer mediator 2 years in a row at Mount Roskill Grammar, and he was so involved and so it changed his life to the degree that he wanted to come and volunteer time to the Peace Foundation. So when he left Mount Roskill Grammar, he applied to Teachers College and came and worked part-time for us as well. And now we employ him part-time to pilot the Kia Tau Rangamari Air program
Yes.
that Johnny runs, and he's just doing such a fabulous job. He's
Okay.
passionate about this work, and I can see him working for the Peace Foundation on a full-time basis once we pilot this
Sure.
program, and really offering cool schools, but done in a way that's very relevant, really aligned with Maori values.
Maori values,
It's like it's cool, taking cool schools and really aligning it with what is appropriate in the Maori culture,
context, yes.
and delivering it to kura schools all around New Zealand, and also to schools that have a high percentage of Maori students in the school. So, and like I say, we're piloting it in 6 schools this year. We're hoping to roll it out next year. A lot
One
more.
last question, in the 1 minute we have remaining: the role of sport in bullying, and does sport contribute to bullying, or is it a kind of a safety valve that? Or has it got any part at all in your concerns?
Well, I feel it's all about attitude, and attitude can be a real opportunity for people. Like there's always, it's very physical sport, isn't it? And sometimes rough and tumble and passions, and that can be a very great thing. But it's when the line is stepped over and it offends, and whatever the behaviour is done offends somebody or hurt somebody in some way, and it's how you deal with that. So even a great sportsman can learn skills that can really, if there is a problem on the sports field, and we've had mediators that have been, they've had the skills of being on the field, and they've used them in a way that has resolved issues that have happened on the sports field as well.
Well, we can all look forward to the International Day of Peace on Saturday, 21st of September.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, and we're hoping to get very proactive this year on that day, Noel, and we're hoping to give students a voice, whether it be through song, poetry, just through speaking, and to voice how they feel their world could be more peaceful.
On that very positive note, I think we should bring the conversation within. Our grateful thanks to Christina Barruel for tonight's conversation, and thank you too for spending some of your time here with us on Face Television. Before you go, think about this. It was said by the singer Jimi Hendrix. He said, "When the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace." Until our next conversation, I'm Noel Chia. Good night.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
Okay, room 16, it's our mediation time now. So we're all going to sit up really nicely and do some really good mediation. Taylor.
Welcome to mediation time. Mediation rules. No interrupting, no name calling or put downs. Be honest, agree to solve the problem. What is your problem?
I don't want Kabir to play with me because I was playing with my own friends.
What was your problem? I wanted to play with just Karen. How did you feel about that?
Cross, angry.
How did you feel about that? Angry. Do you have any solutions to help? Do you have any solutions to help? Do you have any solutions to help?
I don't know any solutions.
So next time.
Yes, Karen could say sorry and they could start a new game.
Kabir could have said please.
Kabir could go in the class and get another friend.
Kabir could go to the friendship sea and make new friends.
Just Karen could say, I'm sorry, I didn't have to play with you, but I can play with you tomorrow.
Did you see any solutions that you like?
Cameron's?
What did Cameron say?
He said, just Karen could say, sorry, I can't play with you, I'll play with you tomorrow.
Just Karen, did you see any solutions that you liked?
Mackenzie's.
What did Mackenzie say?
Forgot.
What did you say?
Please, can I play with you?
Congratulations, you've solved the problem.